Is Ali Ehsan. I am registered migration agent and director of Aussizz Group Bankstown. I'll be taking today's session, and in this, I will be answering all your questions related to migration. So let me just brief you about this session. But before we do that, let us wait for more people to join, and we'll resume this session within few minutes. Agent and director of Aussizz Group. So we are waiting for more audience to join. As soon as people start joining, we'll start today's session. Just to let everyone know that today's session is, there is no such presentation, or there is no such slideshow. It's more of your questions, and then we'll be taking your questions and we'll try to answer as many answers as possible. If we are unable to answer any question during this session, we'll make sure that those questions are answered later on by myself or any of my team member on the line. So if you have any friends or family who also want to join the session, you can send them the invite to this, and then they can ask any question related to migration. We'll wait for 1 or 2 minutes before we start, so more and more people can join and they can all get benefit of this session. Okay, so hi everyone. I'll introduce myself once again. My name is Ehsan. I'm registered migration agent and director of Aussizz Group Bankstown. Today's session we'll be discussing about recent migration updates, and I'll be basically taking your questions related to any migration questions that you have. But before we start, I just want to give you a short recap of what has been happening in migration, because we are entering we are towards end of the financial year, and as most of you know that towards end of financial year, most of states, they close their nominations, and if few states are open, they will generally have very few seats left. So but this is the time when you prepare yourself for next financial year, and considering next financial year numbers related to skilled visas, employer sponsorship, and even family migration, we can see that the number of next year for migration program is really good as well. So if you were unable to make it in this financial year, or you have not received invitation or your visa in this financial year, of course you can be prepared for next financial year. And for skilled migration, that starts with skills assessment. Or if you have an employer who is of course willing to sponsor you, then of course you can go towards employer sponsorship. Now if you, just to give you an idea, that if you are lodging your nomination application after 30th of June, you'll have to, TSMIT will increase from 53,900 to 70,000 from that day. So if your nomination applications are ready and you can submit it now, then you can submit it now with old TSMIT requirement before new one come into effect. Other than that, just to give you a recap of what has happened in this financial year for skilled migration specifically. So we have seen that unlike previous years during COVID, this year has been really good, where Department of Home Affairs invited around 60,000 applicants for subclass 189 visa. And we saw that many applicants who were waiting for a long time got invitation in December invitation round and the invitation rounds before. And they recently conducted another invitation round, which was smaller one as compared to other invitation rounds, but many applicants did receive invites, especially from teaching, social work background. So coming year, as I said, that number is similar. So we are expecting same level of same level of invites next year as well. So my advice to all of you is be prepared for next financial year. If you haven't done your skills assessment, start with skills assessment process. If you are looking for employer sponsorship, start employer sponsor process. And there is really good news for applicants who are from short-term stream. Previously, they were not eligible to apply for 186 under TRT stream, or they were not eligible for 186 in general. Now, department will announce a pathway, or department will introduce a pathway for them to apply for PR towards end of this calendar year. So a lot of good news and positive news coming from Department of Home Affairs. So get ready for coming financial year. And also to let you know that we are having conclave for this year starting from 26th June till 30th of June. So that's where we are going to cover all the topics that you are concerned about. It includes, PR pathways through study. It includes sessions on state updates. It includes sessions on family visas, student visas, visitor visas. So you'll find all the relevant information related to education and migration in that conclave. If you haven't registered for the conclave yet, you can do it now. We will copy the link in comment box. Do go there and register for that conclave, and you can attend the relevant session in which you are interested. So you'll find many migration agents discussing giving their perspective on what immigration will look like. And we have many qualified educational counselors who will be attending those sessions and will be guiding you through the process. So let's get started. Now we have questions coming up. So let's get started with that. So I have one question where applicant. So let me open it. Give me a moment. Okay, so I have one question on YouTube to start with. So someone has mentioned that they've got their tourist visa refused recently. Will this impact on student visa? So look, if your temporary visa application is such as visitor visa gets refused, it can have impact on your GTE, but we do advise you to prepare a stronger GTE when you lodge a student visa and cover all the shortcomings which were there in the visitor visa refusal. But they both are different visas, yet they are temporary visas, and GT, genuine temporary entrant criteria, applies to both of these. So you have to be very careful when making new application. Make sure that you cover all the shortcomings that you had in your initial submission. Okay, so one of the person has asked that his brother is a permanent resident, citizen in Australia, and how can he sponsor them? So look, your family can sponsor you under 491 family sponsored stream. Now, some of the basic requirements for 491 are that you must have a valid skills assessment, you must be under 45, and you must have at least a competent English, minimum 50 points. Your brother must be living in a regional area of Australia to sponsor you. So he must be a usual resident of a regional area of Australia. So if your occupation is on the list and you are meeting basic requirements, then he may be able to sponsor you, and your occupation also has to be in the long-term list. So you need to get skills assessment first, as I said, and then meet other requirements. So someone has asked, who is from motor mechanic background, that what are the chances of them getting invited at 70 points for 189 and 75 points for 190 as a motor mechanic. Okay. Now, see, it depends on what point system. So if there are any changes in point system, then we'll have to see how that is impacting you in terms of your point score. Now, 189 rounds, if they continue in the same way that happened previously, then I believe that you will have good chance of getting invitation. But my recommendation will be to increase your points. And as far as Victoria is concerned, I will advise you to get a job if you are not working. So because if you have a skilled job and your salary is higher, your chances of getting invited will be higher. So we'll see what next year brings. But yes, you, as of now, my advice to you will be to increase your points. But because you are on lower side, because you need minimum 65 to lodge EOI for 189 and you are at 70. So if you reach 75 or 80, definitely your chances will get better. And at the same time, your chances will be good for subclass 119 Victoria as well with these points. And if you have a skilled job with good salary. So, Adushiana, it's not, look, it's not yet clear that what changes department is going to introduce, but from the press release and the conference from Immigration Minister, with a few weeks back, she definitely indicated that there will be change in point system. Now, that can include employment points maybe, or age points, or English points. Okay, so we still have to wait and see what requirements will be coming in future. But as soon as we have more updates, we will be, of course, doing a live session and we'll be posting it on our social media pages, and you can reach out to any of the nearest branch near you, and they will be happy to help you with your query. So Gagan has asked that, do you need experience to lodge 189, 190 or 491? So Gagan, not really. It depends on many factors actually. So for example, for 189, you don't need experience to lodge 189, but you might need experience to get skills assessment. Now, for example, if you are from occupations such as engineer or accounting, you don't need experience to get your skills assessment. And once you have skills assessment, you can lodge expression of interest. But at the same time, if you are from trade occupations or other general occupations such as you are a chef, or you are a chemist, for example, you need experience to get your skills assessment. Once you have skills assessment, you don't need separate experience to lodge 189 EOI. Now, for 190 and 491, rules will be different. Every state set out their own requirements for 190 and 491. So, for example, Victoria was asking for employment in regional area for 491 last year, which they removed at the end. And then there are states which do ask for employment for 190 and not for 491. For example, Western Australia, they ask for job contract if you're going for 190 under Schedule 2. However, they do not ask for job if you're going for 491. So it depends which state are you applying to, which visa are you applying. Generally, that's not basic eligibility criteria to apply for 190 or 491. States can set out or can ask you to meet experience criteria. I hope this is clear to you now. So, Puneet, it depends on how many points you have. So you're asking about accounting occupations in NSW 190. So see, we have seen invitations for accounting related occupations for 190 NSW in past few months. Okay, now, yes, for accountant general, point has been really high towards 100, but then we saw a few invitations for external auditors at lower points as well. So if you are targeting all visas 189, 190, and 491 at same time, and you are utilizing all the possible occupations and you have lodged expression of interest in all of them, then you can have, your probability of getting invite will increase. So yes, I believe if not directly for accountants, accountant general occupation, but related occupations, yes, there can be, good high chances of getting invited next financial year if your points are towards higher side. So Gagan, management accountant is basically more of accountant general because the group is same. So it's same group. Now with management accountant, we do not have any specific data from our side, but last invite that we received for accountant general or same group was at 100 points. 95 applicant had of his or her own and 5 from state. But my recommendation to you will be to have multiple assessments and be in the queue, so you can have higher chances of getting invitation. Okay, so I've got a really long question. Give me 1 minute. Let me read that. Okay, so Nikhil, your question is subjective to multiple factors. Yes, I can see that. You have asked that if you can claim points for the experience that was deducted. Now, in this case, again, there are two sides, basically. First is VETS's opinion, because they are the professional assessing authority. Okay. Now, if as per their opinion, you cannot claim points, so you cannot claim points from their perspective. Now, however, department can have their own rule when it comes to who can claim points and what experience you can claim points for. Now, as per the department policy, if your work experience is deducted by assessing authority, like in your case, you may be eligible to claim those 5 points, keeping in mind that your experience was at required level, you had required qualification. So we have to check all the relevant criteria, but there is a possibility of claiming those points if you are meeting all other criteria as well. But please note that states such as NSW, because I mostly deal with clients from NSW, so NSW does not accept that experience as skilled experience. So they go with VETS's advice. So Muhammad, there might be, we are waiting for that as well. So as you know, it's 5:30 here in Sydney. So there is still 2-3 hours to go before this day ends. So there might be around from W. So Asrar, look, so Asrar has asked that if he should give Nati now or he should wait for point system to change and then do Nati as per the new point system. Now, Asrar, my answer to you will be that look, so we don't know that if point system will change from 1st July or 30th July or 1st September or October. Okay, so I will not advise you to hold your profile or hold your points just because you are waiting for some updates. Now, please note that this is just a news, or this is just an announcement. Now, when it will materialize, no one knows. So rather than waiting for new updates, I will recommend you to try to increase your points for now. In worst case, let's say if they, your concern will be that if they remove naughty points, what will happen? So yes, in worst case scenario, you might lose, your time that you have put in, or the efforts, or the money. Yeah. But if you see positive side of it, if they don't do that even for 2-3 months, and you get those extra 5 points, and you get invitation because of those 5 points, then all your investment in Australia will pay off at the end of the day. So you have to keep both sides. And if I look into, pros and cons, I will definitely advise you to appear in Nati. And for the changes, new changes, if you follow us on Facebook and or Instagram and or the other pages, we do post all these updates there. And you can, of course, reach out to your one of your closest branch, and you can ask them to guide you with your process. So Charlotte, for NSW removed work experience requirements for subclass 190 for any occupation. So this financial year, so initially when they started financial year, like in August, September, October, November, they had work experience requirement for many occupations. But then in December or end November or early December, they removed work experience requirement from all occupations. And actually, we have received invitations for our clients with lesser points in telecom engineer, and they did not have any experience. So rather than waiting, my advice to you will be, if you are eligible and if you have a valid skills assessment, you should consider lodging expression of interest for 189, 190, or 491, whichever visa you are willing to apply for. So Muhammad, you have asked 189 to get 189 with 75 points for mechanical engineer. Look, with 189 invitation round, the most important factor is that which occupations are they going to pick up? Okay. Now, engineering in general, we have seen that has been in demand. Okay. Now, looking after the last, if you had asked me this question 1 year back, then I would have said that you have very less chance. Okay. But now, since December, since immigration conducted around in December and many applicants got cleared, I can say that yes, your chances can be good in coming financial year if they keep the same pace for 189 visas, no 189 invitations, but still you are slightly on lower side. My advice to you will be to try to increase your points by 5 or 10, because I consider 85 as a good score to be invited for 189 in next financial year. So Nikhil, again, that is, I will not be able to advise you on this matter, because I'm not aware of all the, I'm not aware of your full case. My advice to you is, if you can reach out to, or we have a branch in Queensland as well. So if you can reach out to a migration agent over there, they will be able to assess your profile and they'll be able to advise you further. But I have given you general advice, which is that you may be able to claim if all relevant details are matching. Okay, I hope that's clear to you now. So Dimple, schedule 2, 75 points, and you are living in WA. So look, with this profile, yes, you have a reasonable chance, but it depends on, again, how many invites they issue to 491 applicants. Now, we have seen in previous rounds that they did invite, so WA has been inviting sometimes more of 491 and sometimes more of 190 applicants. So every round is different. But then if they give good number of invites, then you may get invitation. But then again, your points are towards lower side, because I believe you will have 60 of your own and 15 from region. Charlotte, again, so no, professional year is not a compulsion for engineers if you are going through Engineers Australia. But let's say if you're a software engineer, which is an occupation assessed by ACS, yes, you need either a professional year or work experience. But since you mentioned you're from telecom background, telecom engineers, as a telecom engineer, you do not need professional year. It's not compulsion. However, it can give you 5 extra points towards your PR. That's why it's recommended that you do professional year. So I'm going to take questions from other platforms as well now. So Garima, I believe I've answered your question. So ICT BA with 90 points. Victoria, so see, it depends on how many invitations they are going to issue, because Victoria lately started inviting applicants from critical sectors. So 90 points, I believe you stand good chance of being invited. But again, it depends on your income as well. So because if you are in Victoria, if your income is good and you have 90 points, then yes, you'll have good chances of getting invited. So I have another question. So applicant is, applicant has applied for 189 visa, and his student visa is still active because it's expiring in 2024. Now, because of this, his bridging visa is not active yet because he has a substantive visa in effect. Now, the question is that so he's asking that if he can get his bridging visa activated. Now, see, Gautam, you are in a position where, if your substantive visa is in effect, your bridging visa cannot override a substantive visa. Now, the only way is, which is not, of course, recommended, if you don't, that is, you cannot withdraw visa that has been granted. The only way is your student visa can get cancelled. In that case, you will be unlawful. And then you have to request for a bridging visa E, which is not a right way to go forward with. My recommendation to you will be to wait for the grant of 189. And in terms of work rights, see if you can enroll in Masters of Research course, which can allow you full working rights. Shekhar, 491 visa processing times, you can see that on the official website. Recently, I believe, it can take maybe 15 to 20 months as well in many cases. So Junaid, you have asked that before 30th June, can you apply for TR offshore? You are holding bridging visa C. Now, it depends what is your overall scenario. If you are a graduate, if you are a recent graduate and you are offshore, you are not required. So if you are holding bridging visa C, your visa would have ceased by now, because you cannot hold bridging visa C while you're overseas. The moment you travel, your bridging visa C might have, I believe if you're offshore, then you'll not be on bridging visa C. So I assume that you are not holding any visa right now and you are offshore. So if you meet other requirements, then yes, you can apply for 485. considering that you are meeting all other requirements as well. Now, if you are in Australia, then it's better to consult us, or even if you are there overseas, so we can assess your overall profile. But yes, there is a possibility. Ankur, look, you've asked that if engineers can get invite for 65 points. Look, 65 points, I consider it on lower side. So I don't think that, department, and again, it depends on how many seats they allocate to engineering professions, but getting invite at 65 points seems to be a bit, hard, but, you should always try to increase your points. I will not really, recommend you to wait with 65 points. Okay, so Salman, since you are working in Pakistan as an accountant for 4 years, you can get your skills assessment maybe as an accountant. If you get your skills assessment as an accountant, you can do it through CPA. Now, they can assess your degree based on your English and areas of competencies that you have covered. You can also claim points for your employment if it is relevant to accounting occupation. Then for your IELTS, I'm not sure, CLB 9 is, I believe it's for another country. Now, to start with, Salman, you have to do skills assessment first. Once you have skills assessment, you have to then go ahead and lodge expression of interest. You can target 189, 190, 491 visa, try to do NATI. And if you are single, you can have extra points from there. If you have a partner, then you can get your partner skills assessment as well as her competent English to get more points. Junaid Khalid, if you are meeting all the requirements and you are offshore, you can apply for 485. But then, since you just have 20 days for this and you are planning to go offshore, I will definitely recommend you to consult us first. And we here at Sydney, we do provide free 485 consultation. So I will highly recommend you to book a consultation. Or a registered migration agent can go through your profile, and before you travel, they can advise you that if it is safe to go or not. Because if you are departing as a holder of bridging visa C, you can be impacted by public interest criteria as well. So we have to check your profile. But yes, you can apply for 485 as an offshore applicant. Okay, so I have a question that applicant got PR last month and got married and wants to apply for visitor visa for partner. Now, documents, look, there are different requirements for visitor visa. So generally, department looks into 3 things. So what is her intention to visit? What are the, can he financially support herself? And what incentives does she has to return? So this is to determine genuineness. Department looks into this criteria along with some other criteria. So yes, you can apply for her visitor visa. You can go for tourist stream or family sponsored stream, depending on her overall profile. But yes, you can definitely apply for her visa. Now, chances of getting her visa will depend on many factors. It depends on her profile, her financial status, her intentions to go back, how strong incentives or strong connections she has in her country of residence or he has in country of residence. Junaid, I have already answered your question. So I'm going to take question from Facebook now. So Luciana, I have to really check that if your occupation is there, but I believe should be there. Look, and you have 90 points, 70 points for 190. So it means you have basic 65 points, and then you have 70 for 190, and then you have another 15 for regional visa. Now, if you have a job contract, then you can be considered for 190 visa. Okay. But let me check if your occupation is on the list first. Yeah, so your occupation is open for both streams. So I will advise you, if you have a job contract, then do lodge UI for 190 as well. And then we have seen invitations for 190 and even 491 at lower points. So yes, my recommendation will be for you to lodge expression of interest as soon as possible. And meanwhile, try to increase your points because you are going under graduate stream. So you will be getting preference over scheduled 2 applicants. So I've got another question. It's regarding 491. So, and then I got this question. So thank you for bringing it up. I've got this question from a lot of other clients as well, that regarding TSMIT and its application on 491 visa. Now, department has announced that TSMIT will change from 1st July for employer sponsored visas. Okay. Now they haven't announced anything for 491 visa yet, and they haven't given any date for 491 visa as well. Now, if you have been invited for 491 visa already, my recommendation to you will be to lodge your 491 visa before 30th of or by 30th of June to avoid any expected change. Now, we do not have any date from department yet that when TSMIT will change for them, but my advice to all of you who have received 491 invitation is to try to lodge visa on or before 30th of June, so that if there are any possible changes after 30th of June, you do not get impacted. Now, still any change might impact you. So, this does not mean that if you lodge now, new TSMIT will not apply to you. But then as of now, the best thing you can do is to submit your visa and then, see how things go in future. And if changes do apply to you, I don't think so, because I have, seen a lot of applicants moving to regional in the past on 491 or on 489 visa. And then income is not a big issue, I believe, because you can combine your income in terms of, you can have TFN income, you can have ABN income, you can do business. So you do not have restriction on type of employment that you can do. It's just that you have to live, work, and if you're study in regional area only while you are holding 491. So that provides you an opportunity to earn more income, and and then even if they bring 70,000, let's say, for 491 visa holder, I think it shouldn't be that hard given current economic situation for you to meet the requirement. So if you are eligible for 491, go for 491 visa. If you are, just don't ignore the visa or leave this option just because of the income criteria. Okay, so I am waiting for more questions. So Jitu has asked that, Australia is giving, so basically I believe she has raised a concern or a question that they're giving preference to candidates who are in Australia on TR, or, they are getting invitations for 190 or 491. Okay. Now, Jitu, and she's concerned that mostly offshore applicants are not getting invitations for 190 and 491. Now, look, Jitu, it depends on state to state and which region you have applied to. For example, NSW, they have invited onshore or offshore applicants throughout the period. Okay. And we have not seen any difference in onshore and offshore applicants as far as NSW is concerned. Now, as an offshore applicant, you have an advantage that you can apply to different states. If you're onshore, you cannot apply to different states because most of the states will limit you. Now, for example, if you're in NSW, you have to be, if you're in Australia, you have to be living in NSW for at least 6 months to lodge 190 EOI in NSW and 3 months to lodge EOI for 491. However, someone from offshore, they can lodge EOI for both in NSW, they can lodge expression of interest for ROI for Victoria, they can be in the queue for WA, South Australia, Northern Territory, they can actually lodge nomination in Canberra, so they can lodge EOI for all the states. Now, yes, there can be times when some few states do not prefer offshore applicants as compared to onshore, but then at that time, you have to see which states are considering offshore applicants mostly. Then you have to focus on such states. So I gave you one example of NSW that they did invite a lot of applicants for 190 and 491 and irrespective of their location. As far as 189 is concerned, so we saw more invitations to offshore applicants for initial 2 rounds in last financial year. So where offshore applicants were preferred over onshore. And in December, both got invited, with similar preference. Now, that shows that this thing changes with time. So you should not have that perception that overseas applicants or offshore applicants do not get preference. That perception is wrong. It depends on state. It depends on which time of the year you are applying for, which occupation are you from, how many points you have. So, so overall profile matters in these cases. But I personally think if you have more years of experience, then you might have better chances for 190 or 491 from offshore as compared to onshore in many states. So I believe, this has made your question, now it's clear to you. So I believe, Praful, you asked this question earlier. So your tourist visa was rejected, and will it impact on your student visa? So just to let everyone know that in student visa, there is a question, there is a criteria that you have to meet GTE requirements, is genuine temporary entrant. Now, to determine if you are a genuine temporary entrant, department looks into many factors. And one of the factor is what are your intentions. So previously, because you applied for a tourist visa, now you are changing your intention to come to Australia. So you have to cover all those areas. You have to cover all the pointers which department requires you to cover and to make, and it's better to go for a good university and with good English. And, you should be able to explain to department why you are a genuine student, and your overall profile will matter in this case. But yes, visa refusals can have impact on your further temporary visas, such as student visas. Okay, so I'm just waiting for questions from all the social media channels. Just stay with me for a couple of minutes. I'll see if I have more questions. Otherwise, we'll end today's session. So if anyone who has just joined now and they have any question, just leave us in comment, and I'll try to answer them as quickly as possible. Yeah. So Salman, they say that on their website that they've given these many number of invites, like 23,000, but their allocation is less. So yes, that can happen because that's the number of invite that they issued. Now that's pre-invitation. Now if someone accepts it and then they get invitation to lodge visa, now that number is final. Okay. Now there is a possibility, there are many clients who got, let's say, invitations for 491 3 times or 2 times, and then they got invitations for 190, and then later on they choose 190. Okay. Now that 2 invitations that applicant got initially for 491 are also in that calculation. So that's why that number is higher, but actually at the end, WA only issued 1 invitation to that client. Okay, and there have been many cases like that where they issued multiple pre-invites and they were all calculated in their calculation. That's the reason why you see the difference in that number. So thank you everyone for joining today's session. It was, we got lots of questions. It shows that, a lot of people are interested in applying for migration to Australia, and I will recommend all of you, whether you are in Australia or overseas, that if you are eligible to go for skilled migration or any visa, do it now, because you have these days, next financial year or the coming financial year, I believe this is one of the best time to get migration in Australia. So I will highly recommend you to initiate your process. Consider 189, 190, 491 visa if you're going towards skilled migration. If you have employer, do consider employer sponsorship options, because there will be there are new pathways available for PR through that. To end with, we have, you can join us for Conclave 2023. We have posted link in comment section. That's where we'll be covering all the topics which are relevant to you, whether it's migration, education courses, or registered migration agents and qualified educational counselors. Will be taking on your questions and will be covering different topics there. So do register for Conclave 2023 if you haven't done so till now, and I'll meet you there as well with the updates. So thank you everyone for joining. If you have any further questions, do not feel free to reach us in any nearest branch. You can call us, email us, book appointment, and get your journey started. Thank you everyone for joining. I wish all of you best of luck.